UMD. My name is Nancy Diener, and I work for the Access Center. That's the office here on campus that provides academic support service to students who are deaf, hard of hearing, or deaf-blind. Now, I could start and give you just a general overview of our office, or if you have any questions at this point, you could ask them first. What would you like to do?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
First of all, the Access Center is the office on campus here that, as I said before, provides academic support to students who maybe need interpreters, note takers, accommodated testing, priority registration, and a variety of other potential accommodations depending on the circumstance. What we require from the student is that we need to have a documentation of hearing loss, which is simply an audiogram that's relatively recent. And then we need to also have information. We will provide you with some information on your rights and responsibilities and our rights and responsibilities so that we both understand our roles. One thing I think it's really important to emphasize is that college is very different than high school. In college, we expect that students will take responsibility for making their own requests for accommodations. We won't be following you around and telling you what you should do here and there and that sort of thing. We expect that you will be able to do that. Now, sometimes we have run into situations where, depending on the course and the circumstance, you may not be sure exactly what you'll need for that class. Well, that's a really good opportunity for us to have a meeting and talk about the different possibilities of what we could provide. Do you have any questions now?
Do you have a full deaf group that needs interpretation?
We actually have, well, it varies from year to year. And I would say that on average we have anywhere between 2 and 20 deaf students. Those are students, specifically I'm talking about students who use sign language as their primary means of communication. We also usually have about another 10 to 20 students every year who are hard of hearing and maybe would use note takers or FM systems or other auxiliary aids.
Now, you have interpreters that are here for college classes. Do you have other interpreters for other things? Club? Do you have clubs set up or anything like that?
In terms of the social aspect, a student who comes to school at UMD has the right to participate in any activity on campus or any club. So not only do we in the Access Center provide academic support, but we also would provide interpreters and other support for other university-sponsored activities, such as recreation or sports or whatever. Now, in terms of having a club on campus that's specifically for deaf students, some years we do, some years we don't. And so we have, depending on the student group and their own initiative and interests, that some years we have a very strong group of deaf students, and other years they're more independent and tend to socialize more within the mainstream, as I was talking about earlier, in other recreational and sports programs.
Sure. So the deaf students, so you encourage the deaf students to set up their own club? There's not one I set up?
That's correct. And in fact, there's a very large student center here at UMD, and there are many student groups, and the idea is to promote student leadership. So the student groups that are on campus are initiated and supported and run pretty much exclusively by students. They typically may have a faculty advisor, and so perhaps for a deaf student group, it would potentially be someone from our office who may be the faculty advisor or a faculty person from either the ASL programs or the deaf education programs that may serve as a faculty advisor to that group.
So at the deaf school that she and I went to, communication was open. We all signed, and it was very important. But now we come here, and we have to request interpreters, all of that. So what is a good length of time before an event that I need to request an interpreter?
Okay, so that's a really good question. And I have to say that it actually varies. We have a general rule that we would like to have 1 week's notice, because then we can easily schedule those events into the interpreter's regular weekly schedule. But that doesn't mean that if it's not a week, you can't make the request. If you put in a request, if you find out something's happening in just a couple of days and put in a request, we'll do our very best to contact interpreters and try and fill that request. Just logistically, it's always easier to have a little bit of notice, but we do try to fill anything.
Are the interpreters certified?
That's another really good question. We have 3 interpreters that work full-time this year. Other years we've had as many as 5 who've been full-time. And of our total staff of about 8 interpreters, which include full and part-time, we have 4 that are certified and 4 who are currently pursuing the study program to take their certification tests. So it is definitely a goal for us to have all of our interpreters certified.
So I want my emphasis to be very clear that I'm very education oriented. So I guess my question is, what if I don't understand the interpreter doesn't understand me? What happens?
What we do here is that I do try to schedule interpreters who match the skill level and preference of the students. So, and we are a mainstream public university, so to be quite honest, we get quite a range of students from the mainstream who prefer signed English, some who prefer kind of a mixed system, and some who prefer ASL. So our interpreters also have a variety of skills, and we do try to match interpreters to both the subject area and the student preference with regard to communication. And so far we've been really pretty successful at doing that. We have also our interpreters, they each seem to have a little bit different expertise area. We have one interpreter, for example, who has a bachelor's degree in biology. We have another interpreter who is in the human services, and another one who's more a generalist, I would say. So that we not only try to match signing skill, but also content area as well, so that we can provide the best interpretation for all the classes.
That's really good. That's really good. I like that. So how do we actually differ?
We have, at the end of each term, we give all the students who've used interpreting services an evaluation form for each interpreter in each class. So that perhaps you have the same interpreter for 2 different classes, a math class and a history class. And perhaps this interpreter is particularly effective in one class, but maybe not so effective in another class. So that's the reason we give you evaluations for each course, not just for the interpreter as a whole, so you can provide very specific feedback. We also encourage students and interpreters to maintain an ongoing dialogue throughout the term. So, and we also provide interpreters work time if they would like to meet with you. Additionally, say if you had a paper or a presentation that you needed to work on for a class and you wanted to go over it with the interpreter so that you felt confident that they we're prepared also to interpret for you in that situation. Or if it's a highly technical class and you want to get together and just review the vocabulary and make sure that the signs that you're using are appropriate and that sort of thing. We work that into an interpreter schedule as well.
All right, all right. They're discussing whether they have.
Yes, we have 5 levels of ASL that we offer right now. They're very popular. Every fall we have over 100 students that are in the ASL 1 class, and about a third of those move on to the second year. And then in recent years we've added also a level 5. So we have quite a number of students on campus who are developing ASL skill. And you can find them in basically any of the colleges and any of the majors. One nice thing that I like to encourage deaf students coming into our program to consider is taking the ASL class and then serving as a teaching assistant at a later date. We offer a tutoring class and a tutoring program where a student can earn credit and experience in the tutor center as an ASL tutor. That's been tremendously, yes.
That's so cool.
And the students who are taking ASL, the hearing students who take ASL, find that just immensely valuable. And the years that we have tutors who are native ASL users and deaf students, those are the years that our hearing students actually do much better in the classes.
So if I want interpreting or I want note takers or something, do I have to pay for that?
Oh, no. You are entitled to those services under the Americans with Disabilities Act and under other state legislation here in Minnesota. So there is no cost to you for any of the appropriate academic support services that you're entitled to here. What we do require, though, as I said earlier, is documentation of the hearing loss. And then we do have a form that you need to fill out to register with us. And then you have to be aware of the policies and procedures that we have so that we each understand the roles and responsibilities that we have to fulfill.
Wow, I don't remember the last time I had an audiogram. It was a very long time ago. How recent does it have to be? Will I have problems with that?
Frankly, we usually try to have records that are within 3 to 5 years. But in the case of hearing loss, a documented disability that's longer is fine, particularly if you have a history in your high school of using academic support and interpreters and so forth. So we've not run into any trouble with that. If we were, we would simply contact you and ask you to have a more current one. But for the purposes of our program right now, the one that you had in high school is probably okay.
So I can have time to work with an interpreter? Is that, do I pay for
We
that?
actually, through the Access Center, are not mandated to require to provide tutoring. We do have a tutor center that is very comprehensive, and we would provide interpreters for any visit to the tutor center. We found over the years that that tends to be more successful because the tutors in the tutor center have the content area expertise as well as training in how to tutor. In rare circumstances, there may be a situation where an interpreter would serve as a tutor, but generally that when interpreters and students get together outside of class, it's generally a mutual study session where they're both working on, as I mentioned before, technical vocabulary, planning for a presentation, that sort of thing. Otherwise, we do use our on-campus tutoring center, which is also free.
All right. Do you have any more questions? Anything you want to add?
Well, I have some material here for you, which includes our application procedure and admissions information, as well as a bulletin. So you can certainly take all of this information, and if you have any questions at any time, you can contact me either by email or on my card that I'm giving you, you'll also see my TTY phone number.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you
so
for
much.
coming. I certainly hope to see you in the fall.
Thank you.